Here.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
All right, gents, this is what we got. So this will be episode 10 of the SCRS podcast, and for better or worse, I'm sure I've messed something up here, and we'll kind of see how it goes. But it's been a long 10 days. I thank you guys for sticking with it, since I kind of been jerking you around with the move and all my excuses and such. So it's good having you guys on. I haven't seen you around in a while, Spectre.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a hiatus, but we're back. Here we are.
Yeah, so we're gonna pretty much play catch up. We're gonna do some wrap up of the Supremacy League, how that turned out. There's some interesting drama there. I'm sure you guys are anxious to talk about again, probably for the 20th time, right? And what we got 5.8 today. They dropped the German battleship, right? Next update stuff.
They hinted at it.
Well, it said next update, and they gave you the tree, right? So that's pretty interesting. We're also going to cover some of the questions we got back from Q. We've only been sitting on that for like 3 weeks.
About a month.
Something like that. Yeah. So it's been a while, lots of slacking. Got some feedback on the forums too. So Rick, I saw your note. Yes, we'll work on some of those notes you had for production stuff, but it's not going to be this week, especially with my lisp, since missing a front tooth. So you guys try to not make me say F or S. Or even tooth, because it's pretty messed up. So we'll try and work around that.
Feel better for me. I know your pain. I have 2 false teeth in the front of my face because I may have liked to drink a little when I was younger and knock them both out.
Yeah, but you didn't have Navy trainees taking turns trying to see if they can make it work, trying to put implants in your face.
I had the Army trainees.
Oh, okay, so just as good then. Just as good. So you got to do it twice for free?
Pretty much.
All right, so let's jump into it here. Let's see what we got for the question. So a while back, a lot of you may remember, maybe you've forgotten by now, we sent a lot of RFIs following up the Quema Pueblos Super Tester episode, taking them up on their offer for a bunch of questions. And they said they had a lot of data lying around. So I asked a whole lot of questions about financial stuff with no great surprise. There was a lot of, we can't answer that. I mean, it was, what is the total income breakdown by region if possible? How much do they get from just premium ships? What's the ratio of, straight purchases versus bundling and all of those kind of things. And I even tried saying how many people have spent real money, not even quantity-wise, to see if we could kind of flush something out of there to see who's buying and not buying and funding the game. And, of course...
And they said no to all that.
They said, thank you very much for your inquiry. Let me line those out. But I will put all the questions on the forum and the website that we asked and that did get shot down, so at least you knew we asked them. But there were some others that we asked that were more demographics related. And one of them that I was really interested in was I asked how many players have at least one tier 10, preferably by region. And he reframed the question to say how many
active tier 10 players.
Yeah. How many active tier 10 players do you have right now? And he gave us the North America breakdown by tier of active players, which this kind of feeds into how we all been talking about team battles, rank battles. Why don't we have this? And even Supremacy League, when we're like, hey, we want to play tier 10s, right? So tier 10, North America, 2%. Tier 7 to 9, 27%. Tier 4 to 6, 55%. And 1 to 3, 16%. Now, those are really interesting numbers, but what it doesn't say is how many people have it. That just kind of shows what people prefer to play, I think, is
there's
more
also
accurate.
The question of exactly what is an active tier 10 player. I mean, does that mean you have a tier 10 and you're an active player, or do you actively use your tier 10 like all the time? Because a lot of people, like they may not have premium or something, so they'll get like their tier 10. They'll be like, this is great. I finally have my, Shimakaze or whatever, and then they realize that, they'll play themselves broke just playing the tier 10s. They get angry and they just go back to grinding like a bunch of low tier games.
Yeah,
Is that person considered an active tier 10 player?
I don't know. I mean, if you were to look at it, you could probably look at it a bunch of different ways, but the percent is so low. Either way you look at it, it doesn't bode well, right? I mean, you could look at, well, I played in the last 90 days, or, I've put it on mothballs. I mean, either way, you're not getting tier 10 games, right?
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, 2% just feels so low. It feels so low. But, this is pulled directly from Wargaming, so it's probably legitimate.
I was surprised by the tier 7 to tier 9, right? Because I feel like the truly best money makers are the tier 8s, right? So I kind of thought I'd see that a little higher, just because of playing a Turpitz or an Otago or a Kutsov or something like that. But I don't know.
I think two things. Number one, I think at tier 8, if you don't have a premium like an Otago or Turpitz, tier 8 is actually pretty rough for making money. But if you do have premium, obviously tier 8 is very viable. And secondly, I think these numbers may have come in before they made the Turpitz, or Turpitz at least, available for doubloons. So maybe that number has gone up? I don't know.
No, I don't know. Who didn't have a Turpitz already by then? How about you, Vass or Sterling? You guys already had Turpitzes before that, right?
Yeah.
I bought
It's
it when
been
it
a
came
clan
out.
staple for a while.
Yeah, they offered it the first thing, and I snapped it up, thinking, they won't have it back out for a year. And I tell myself that's why I bought it, but I bought it just because I'm a sucker, right?
I don't regret it though.
No, it's my favorite ship to play from the premiums anyway.
I mean, among those of us who've been playing the game for a while now, it's a no-brainer. But evidently one of the reasons why they put these ships on the tech tree was because a lot of people said that they wanted it. So I think a not insignificant portion of the population did not have a Turpitz up until very recently. Otherwise, why would they do it?
That would make sense to me. I mean, it's a business thing, right? Get it out there, let more people buy it. It's easier if you can buy it for doubloons as opposed to paying cash for it.
True.
Is it? Is that easier?
Maybe to some people, I don't know.
I think maybe
I don't want
in the world of
straws here. I mean,
no, I mean in the world of tanks model, it probably doubloons. I don't know. Over there, they get for winning certain things, don't they make doubloons that way? And it's kind of one of the issues with merging accounts and stuff. But in the end, it doesn't really matter to me. It costs me the same either way, right?
I mean, for rank this season, if you rank out, you get 3,500 doubloons all said and done, I think.
Yes, that you do. That you do.
You guys gonna finish that? You gonna rank out?
I don't think I'm gonna.
Probably
I don't think I have
not,
enough time.
No.
Consciously, I say no more ranked. I'm tired of it. But my subconscious still tugs me towards it, just because I want the camo and I want the doubloons.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I was like, it's been interesting. I did it, but the first thing I did yesterday when I finally got back up on the net was I bought in Arizona, and then I did some ranked battles. And I was like, I hate myself. What was that, Pass?
So, yeah. So what? I have in Arizona. I love it.
Yeah.
It's
You
been so
bailed
much
on
fun.
me. You bailed on me, but it was
I had to
pretty
go to
fun.
work this. Yes, sorry.
But
I apologize for leaving you.
let's see what some of the other questions I asked them. I tried to get a feel for what the average number of ships players have in their ports. Who and how many, and kind of how you cater to those people who don't keep a lot of ships and aren't pack rats, right? And they didn't really find a good number. They just said it's quite low. So I don't know what quite low means. I don't know if that's a handful of ships, if that's, 10, 15, 20. I would say 15 is probably the low end. I don't know. What do you guys got in your port? How many?
What's the default number of port
Yeah.
slots you get? I don't know. I
4?
bought in so many port slots. It's not even funny.
Is it really 4? I feel like that's way
I think
too
it's
low.
4. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
I think it is
8.
one per nation. It was
Really?
main nation. I think it was
Oh my god, that's horrible.
because I
It's-
remember I
I'm up
started
to
in
You don't
EU.
notice
43
it
ships, I
'cause, I think if you were beta access, I think you got port slots. You get port slots for all your premiums. You get port slots for there's all kinds of stuff you get port slots for. If you've been playing since beta, basically, there's a lot of giveaways. So some of the beta players, we have a lot of port slots, and then I know when they were half off, I bought 16 port slots or something, just because. It's like I have like 40 port slots or something, but I'm sure if you just start the game now, you're not going to have many, and there aren't so many of those little like the little tier 2 premiums. Like they're not very good, but if you sell it, that's a port slot, right?
Well,
And
they got
you
that
can
believe
sale
so,
right now
yes.
too, where they did
Yes.
it over the weekend.
What was that, Beth?
Like that sale for 10. There's a sale for 10 port slots for like dirt cheap on the forums right now, or on the premium shop. Sorry.
Oh, really?
Is this still around? I know it was up for a weekend.
Yeah. If it's up for the weekend, it might be gone now. But it was like 10. Was it 10 for like
Yeah, it was like
$20 or something, or $12?
I think it was less than that. I think it was like
$8.
$8.
Oh, really? That's not bad.
Yep.
I mean, how much is that in doubloons? $8. What is that? 3,000? That's about what it is in doubloons, right?
I'm not sure.
It's hard to tell because it depends on how many doubloons you buy, and if you buy during like the credit card bonus or whatever. So
Yeah, I'm just default, but I don't know. I did the stupid way. I'd never watch for those, but it's probably out to the 8th. We could probably look. I think the Arizona's on sale to the 8th, so like their weekend is like a long weekend, or at least
So
a Friday
real
or something.
quick, so each port slot's what, like 300 gold? Or is
300
it
gold.
300 gold? Yeah, so 10 of them, 3,000 gold. At normal going rates, that is $15 basically worth of doubloons.
Oh, okay, so that is a good deal, half off. Don't worry, when you're done with the Mikasa event, you'll get another free port slot. Unless you guys plan on keeping that thing.
I'm probably gonna keep it.
Yeah, me too.
I
Definitely
actually
gonna keep
haven't
it.
sold any of my premiums, so I've got like I think I have pretty much all of those little tier 2 low tier premiums you never play, like the
Emden, Albany.
Emden, the Aurora, the Albany. Like I haven't bothered to sell them yet.
Yeah, no, I'm a pack rat. I'll keep them all too. But one of the things we were talking about during the clan roundtable, if you remember, to shift gears on you a little bit, was I took away from that every clan on there pretty much said, "Hey, I don't take anybody under 18 for the most part." I can't remember if there was anyone who said they did by exception. There might have been one, but like you guys don't take anybody under 18, do you?
Nope.
And so that
We'll
got
take exceptions, but typically speaking, no.
that got me to thinking, right? So when I first started out, doing gaming communities and stuff like that, I was definitely under 18, but it was definitely into competitive gaming. But so that led me to ask them a question, which was, what's the average age of the player base? You guys got any guesses?
It's mid-30s if memory serves.
I'll go mid-30s.
Yeah, it's 38 for North America, which is also the oldest average, by the way. The other servers aren't that old, but it's kind of like, wow, is there anybody below 18 playing this game? I'm not sure there is.
Not nearly as many as we thought they would be, I guess.
You know what? There are a few, because I saw a guy ages ago in the forums looking for a clan, and he was under 18. And a couple of us told maybe just like start his own, because there are a few people I've seen looking for clans that don't usually meet the criteria. So, but yeah,
I don't
38
know. I think
makes sense.
a game like this probably caters to the guys who are past their fast twitch reflex days, right?
Maybe, but I feel like World War II is a very, very popular topic, even amongst like younger people.
Right, but that's Call of Duty and Battlefield 1, not warship pace, right?
I mean, for some people, infantry does the trick. For other people, it's tanks, and for others, it's ships. I mean, that's what it is for me. I guess I'm just still surprised that it's so few. You'd think that for a country that's back-to-back World War champions, we'd have more people interested in this kind of stuff.
That's brazen. All right, we'll take that, I guess. One of the other ones when I was asking those questions was, the first few people who subscribed to the podcast and stuff, it was disproportionately women. But I asked, how many people are playing are actually women, and it's only 2%, which is no big surprise there. I'm surprised it's even that high.
I thought they said that the proportion of women who now play games has like gone up or something.
Sure, but they're not
2%
playing
is
warships.
Actually, true. I'll concede that point, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't really know how to compare that to like other games. Like I know our average, Overwatch is the new thing, right? I'm sure our average age in this game compared to Overwatch is like, probably 15 years older or something at least. I don't know how the demographics as far as like men and women compare though.
We have two females that hang out in our server that play on a won't say regular basis, but they're there. One of them is a wife of a member, and one of them is a member that was playing Overwatch, then picked up ships as well. So,
Oh, that's cool. I mean, have you guys? The other thing from the Clan Roundtable one that kind of stuck with me for a while was the idea that a lot of clans tend to or trying to do gaming communities instead of I'm a clan for this game. And so I think you guys kind of do that some, and I don't know how formal you are about it. I know Tall does it, and it seems like the longevity and the crossover is what a lot of groups are trying to do now. So I don't know. Do you guys actively do that, or you just happen to play other games so you just put it in your channel?
well, we actually have a MechWarrior online arm, I guess is the best way to say it. Like that's how we started. It's going to be 4 years for us this summer that we actually formed. So, and like I said, we started playing MechWarrior and then we branched out to ships last year. So I guess we are a gaming community as it fits the loose definition of it. We do have some guys starting to play Overwatch as well. Whether or not we actually get another arm or branch set up for that is a different story. So yeah, we do have the two main games, and then we kind of dabble, I guess would be the best way to say it.
I always see it as like a flavor of the month. Like before Overwatch came out, there's usually like whatever the big, maybe not the big release was, but we played a lot of stuff. Like when Division came out, we played Division for about a month before we decided to quit that game for reasons relating to it being terrible. Warhammer came out, the Total War Warhammer, and there's we had a bunch of guys playing that. So it's kind of like a flavor of the month thing. Like a new game comes out, and a lot of our guys will get together and play it.
Well, would you say like Warships right now is home base for most of those people, or is it majority a different game and they kind of dabble in Warships?
Warships is a home base for I think almost everyone.
To say we do have a fairly hard split. Like there are some guys who mech and only play mech. We have guys who play ships and only play ships. Some of us cross over. I mean, I don't particularly play mech that much anymore because after 3.5 years of PGI, they beat me the hell out. But yeah, guys, like I said, the guys that dabble in other stuff. I mean, we're kind of open. If I had 3 or 4 guys who said, "Hey, I want to run Overwatch arm," then we'd open them up the office and let them run wild, right? Like I got 2 or 3 guys that run the MechWarrior side of the house. They do all the recruiting. I take care of the back end stuff as admin on the website, but they do all the recruiting. They do all the in-game stuff. The crew dudes is pretty happy with what they do. So yeah, way to go.
So I just took a swag at saying, hey, how many total accounts have ever been created? And preferably by region. But he turned it around on me and gave it to me in percents instead of totals. And so that's slightly different, which is something the way it's broken down, we would have expected anyway. So Russia's got 37%, EU's got 29% of the total, North America's got 17%, Asia's got 15%, if that tells you anything.
I mean, I don't know. Does anyone know like the numbers for like World of Tanks? I mean, I would assume this is also mirrored in World of Tanks, being Wargaming being like a Russian company,
I haven't played Tanks in a while. I'd have to log into their North American server to check, but I think the population on the tank server is bigger than it is on say the NA ship server.
I don't know. Like, so talking to people and about like how much crossover there's between tanks and warships, I'm not sure there's a huge amount there, at least until Community Warfare comes out. Then we could probably talk about crossover appeal. But I'm very surprised at the low population for North America when, I mean, for better or worse, it's the only game out there that caters to this kind of genre. And so I don't know what it is. Maybe it's not advertised enough. Maybe it's too much pay to play. I don't know, but I thought it would be much higher.
Well, on the advertisement side, like I've actually seen like World of Warships ads again on TV. I remember seeing them like when the game came out last year and they went quiet for a few months, and now they're back on. I've seen them again. So I don't know if they took a break.
Do any of you here watch Silicon Valley? The HBO show?
On HBO, I see it, like the trailers for it after Game of Thrones is done.
I know what you're talking about, actually.
Yeah, because in one episode of Silicon Valley, from I believe season 3, as like a random prop, there's a World of Warships bag in the show. I don't think it was intentional, but like random tidbit there. As for the population, I don't know about you guys, but for at least me amongst my close friends, the problem that I've encountered with trying to get them to play is that, you know what? They're just not interested in naval warfare. Like, You know, like it's easy to like it was easy to sell them on Battlefield, on Titanfall, you know. But for some reason, when I tell them about ships, like response I get is just tepid. Like there's just no like ooh kind of like thing like tied in with that, and I just don't know why.
Well, maybe part of it's the pace, right? I think part of it's probably the pace, but I kind of dabbled in the naval action thing when it went open beta, I guess, but I'm not sure that there was a huge amount of interest in that either, and maybe it's just naval combat in general.
Maybe. I mean, I don't even know if it was the pacing issue because like I couldn't even convince them to pick up the game. Like I tell them that it's hey, it's free to play. All you need to do is download it and check it out, and it's just I get no inertia at all whatsoever. They're just like nah.
I think part of that could be like free to play syndrome, right? Like tanks is kind of grindy. Free to play games in general tend to feel grindy, right? So I don't know if they've played a lot of free to play before. Like I had issues selling MechWarrior to people because the grind for stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
And like ships kind of isn't. I don't find it as bad. But it's still kind of grindy, especially like you're in the middle tiers and you're on a
Around like
a tree
seven.
that's not like
Oh,
Yeah,
tier seven's the
seven,
worst.
like
and then 9 and 10 are just off the charts grindy.
7 is the
so-
worst. It's so awkward.
Yeah, like I mean,
and it really depends on what ship you're in too, right?
true.
Like Sterling and his shores right now.
Not to mention
Yeah,
some ships
sucker.
undergo like a pretty drastic like gameplay like shift around that tier too, especially for like U.S. cruisers going from
Yeah.
like light to heavies, or Cleveland to Pensacola. That's pretty rough. Colorado to NC requires a little bit of change in gameplay. So
Well,
who knows?
What
But, I mean,
online
the
game
fu-
out there right now isn't like some form of, the free to play model? I mean, do you guys
top of my
play
head, I
any of
can't
those?
think of
Like,
anything.
yeah. I mean, you can talk like World of Warcraft still rocking the subscription stuff, right? But it's still grindy, right? That's all part of, hey, how do you get somebody to keep coming back? They got to have something to work for, right?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna include like paid for games, I mean, CS Global Offensive pretty huge, but it's like a shooting game. It's not really much of a grinding game.
The two really big PC games that like come to mind for me besides besides the blockbusters like Call of Duty and Battlefield, I guess right now would be like CS:GO and Overwatch. And I think those two are just so easy to get into because Overwatch is $40 if you get the digital edition, and what is Counter-Strike like 15, and it's on sale all the time for like $10. So chances are your friend probably has like a free copy of it. I mean, there's guns or special stuff in the game you could grind for, but you can basically just hop in on a fresh account and you've got the access to all the same weapons everyone else does.
Well, let me ask you guys, like, what keeps you coming back to ships as home base then? Is it just because, it's a new flavor and you kind of want to see how it goes out and you're invested in Supremacy League, or is it a game that you think, hey, I'm going to do this long term like you did MechWarrior?
A little bit of both. A little bit. I actually really enjoy the game. I enjoy the pace of it. I think my favorite thing in the game is like playing a battleship and just devastating striking some dude from like 15k. Makes me giggle every time I do it. I love it. I actually had a guy tell me that night he wanted me to burn in hell because I shot at him in his Murmansk in my Warspite. Actually, I live for that. That's what makes me want to play this, right?
Well, what do you think was going to
That whole,
happen?
like,
Did he tell you,
just
hey, the
ending
game's
people.
broken?
I no, he was just kind of mad because he jammed on the brakes and I had aimed and just led perfectly and dropped two right down at his engine spouts and just popped them. It was good. One of those shots where you just smile as soon as you watch the rounds go because you know they're gonna hit. I mean, yeah, like I 3 years into MechWarrior, right? And that game was balance wise, everything else was way worse than trying to deal with ships. And if I can invest 3 years in MechWarrior, I can invest 3 years in this. So, and like I said, I genuinely like this game. I think it's a good game.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm
does
with
that mean I would like
Vass,
to see clans some point in time?
Yeah, it's funny. I had kind of my own little come to Jesus moment on this sort of subject. Like right after season 2 was over the playoffs, like literally the next day, most of our guys were gone. Half of them were like on physical vacation. The rest were just like taking a break from ships. After like the whole, the stress of playoffs and the whole season. So everyone else, including Vass, was like, off. It was just me here. I had nothing to do because I was, we were done running the season. So I just sat down and I was like, well, what do I do with myself now? And what do you know? 5-10 minutes later, I ended up just playing ranked battles and playing solo with myself. And I love this game. Like the mechanics are so good, and I think for me and Vass, like being able to work with Q and a lot of guys, and then just seeing the content they put out and the balance. It's a really different experience after like years of MechWarrior. Like to see their development cycle it's great. The game is going in good places. Maybe Clan Wars is a little bit slow, but the two of us are so balls deep running like League that I don't even think about that.
Oh, all right.
Well, at least it hasn't been the infamous 90 days since open beta.
The what?
Sorry. So MechWarrior, it went from closed to open beta back in 2012. The promise was that we would have CW within 90 days. And
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember
2.5 years.
that. Yep.
2.5 years. 3 years.
Yeah, that was awesome. But that kind of, I mean, I guess you guys kind of answered it. But let's shift gears into talking a little Supremacy League wrap up, and I guess I could ask you guys if it was worthwhile, but I think that's gonna be an obvious yes because you're going forward with a summer league that we're gonna talk about, right? But I don't know. Was it worthwhile in the end?
Yeah, it was. I mean, running it's a bit of a challenge sometimes. I think the community gets something good out of it. We get, for the most part, nothing but good feedback and input back on it. And as long as the community is willing to play, we're willing to run it. So,
I mean, what was it like getting some? I guess could we call it formal support? I think we could call it formal support.
Pretty
from actual
I'm pretty
Wargaming,
sure
right?
it is.
I mean, he Q did stop in and call games with Josh, and they gave out some prizes. But that should have been pretty exciting stuff. Kind of a nod towards your format.
Yeah, it's great. Cuomo Pablos is super supportive. Talk with him, pretty often. We're working with them pretty closely on a lot of stuff, and I can say working with Cuomo Pablos, like Wargaming is very solidly behind this competitive scene. With Q is pretty much trying to drive it, especially in North America right now. So with season 3 come on. What's that?
Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off. Too anxious, right?
Oh, it's all right. I mean, we've got a ton of stuff planned for season 3. Wargaming and us are basically gonna, we're releasing season 3, and they're gonna have a bunch of stuff, to help support us with that, and to basically drop at the same time. So, I don't want to tease too much, but they've been great.
So no spoilers for that. What are they going to drop?
I don't know. You might have to wait and see.
All right. Well, I kind of got the feeling that each of the regions and the way they do it. I mean, there is the mothership, obviously, but when we were talking to him, kind of about the the dynamic weather, right, and which map it was going to be on, everyone kind of voted, and he got outvoted and didn't like the map that it initially came in on. So, it'd be interesting to see how much of this lobby and this format they kind of, I don't know, levy against the mothership and some of the other places, because like what was it, Spectre, that was it on the Asia forums, the team battle top 3 stuff that came out about
Yes.
maybe getting prizes or premium
The top
ships or
three,
top 3?
yeah, got Saipans or something like that. It was
Did
pretty
that
crazy.
actually happen, or was it
I
just
didn't
all
follow
talk?
up on that because it was on NA, but it sounds like I saw nothing to that would seem to indicate that they didn't hand them out. So I'm just gonna assume they carried it on with that and gave out the ships as promised.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird dynamic, right? So, does Q, or behind the scenes when you guys are chatting, do they talk about kind of what Europe or Russia's doing as far as community run competitive stuff and what those regions are doing to support it?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Vass. You
No.
first.
Okay. So we know from like browsing the forums in the EU side that they are fostering a competitive community like we are. They in fact ran a couple show matches between 3 of their teams and 3 of the teams from the Asian server about a month ago. They were actually up. The matches were up on Reddit. You can watch them.
Oh yeah, they played tier 10, right?
Yes, they played tier 10. There is currently another group forming in the EU trying to run something that's similar to Supremacy. They're trying to hash out what they're wanting to do. I've talked to them a little bit to try and see if I can give them a hand rule set wise, some of the stuff that we've run into that would maybe help them along. And it looks like there's at least one other group that's running a ladder league competitively, I think is what it was. I just took a quick look at their website like a month ago. So it is there in the EU side, at least in the English-speaking side of the house anyway. I'm not sure what the Russians and Asians are doing. But I think that generally speaking, like every server kind of wants something. So if Wargaming's a little slow providing it, we're going to try and do it on our own, just like we have here, right? With that being said, I think Supremacy is probably the furthest ahead of the 3 servers from what I've seen, or at least on the EU side anyway.
To me, like conspiracy theorist wise, if I were them, I'd be watching all 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it turns out to be, and seeing how they all work out and kind of the interest, and then pirating the crap out of it.
Why wouldn't they? They do that with the mods, right? Like, look at the mods. Look at the patch this week. You got the damage counter and the tracer colors, right? They brought in some of the I lost train of thought. Some of the
reticles.
Reticles.
Yeah.
Thank you. Some of the target.
We also know the
right?
smoke ring mod is also coming. Although I think the smoke ring mod was originally made by a Wargaming guy, anyways.
Okay.
My
But I mean,
understanding
so-
from talking to Quamapopolis is a lot of those mods are made by wargaming people. In any case, though, I mean, it's really nice to see like a company, they're basically taking ideas that people wanted so bad that they made them themselves, and they just add them in, and I think that's just a great way to do things.
I think it's pretty smart. Let the community decide, what formats, what kind of rules we like best, and then when that's all done and decided, they can come in and say, we're going to use these rules that you're now all familiar with, that you've played with this whole time, and so it's just impossible for them to make a misstep when that rolls around.
Well, I don't know. There's danger there, though, right? Because if you look at, while we have a lot of people participate, like the time it takes to let that pan out, how much do you lose in the interim? I don't know what that calculus looks like, but I don't know if they would make that kind of a play. I mean, you look at everyone who's saying, hey, if we had community warfare right now, we'd be in. Or you look at some of the World of Tanks clans that are like, we're recruiting to go to Warships if it goes to clan warfare, right? So, I mean, and you can look at it from just even the conversion stuff experiment they did when no one took them up on it.
So I mean, like that being said, I've never played World of Tanks Clan Wars, right? I have no idea how it works. I have the general understanding that you hold territory and get gold, right? Which is like great, but it's a little bit different than what we're offering with Supremacy and what, if Wargaming wanted to go down that road more towards the, as much as everyone hates to hear it, like the esports style of play, right? Whether or not World of Warships ever becomes like a big game, it doesn't matter. If the community wants something competitive, then it should be provided in some capacity, right?
Well,
I would
World
like
of Tanks has that esports though. They have their own league and stuff, their own finals, their own esports. I mean, I only know that because they stream that all the time on the Wargaming channel. It's just no reason that it can't coexist with Clan Wars.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see a format like this kind of take the place of team battles even, right? Instead of the kind of like grindy ladder system, maybe run a season where, you have to sign up as a clan and do it that way, just, in-game kind of stuff. But I don't know. We'll see how that kind of works out. But let's talk about how this season ended up a little bit. There's some high drama there, and the semis, right, was called by Q and Majash, and the finals. And I actually missed Game 5 of the finals when all the drama went down, right? So I had to go back and watch it just to see it for myself, right? And so I was surprised, right? Before that finals happened, I was like, you know what? After watching all the matches for the quarters and the semis and all that kind of stuff, I was like, Kantai totally has this. I did not expect to go to a Game 5. I didn't expect a Game 5 to turn out like that. But maybe you can kind of give us a breakdown of, well, what was the final adjudication? Because if you just watch the video, you don't really get a flavor for how the decision was made to not do the replay, but maybe it's because it actually went to 5 games. I don't know. So if you guys don't mind walking us through that again.
So up until Game 5, we hadn't had an issue with the streamers being spawned too far away from the teams to kill before they started the match. Unfortunately for that match, Majash ended up significantly far away from where Kantai spawned at. So they were moving, trying to kill him. The other team killed him, was on the way. With the delay, we couldn't get into the office with Majash and Q. They were streaming to try and stop the stream to stop the game to restart it, and it just turned into a bit of a gong show overall. And we just kind of like, yeah, we'll.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
I'm just. Oh, sorry.
Are you just in the heat of battle? Is that what it is?
Not so much the heat of battle, but I mean, it was late. There was a little bit of pushback about playing match 5 because of some gray areas in the rules that we're currently working out.
What was the gray area?
Well, a couple of the rules were conflicting about starting the match again after more than 3 minutes had passed versus the match being restarted, right? So Quayo and Pablos was kind enough to chip in and pay both teams out as if they were victors, so we kind of split the championship that way.
Oh, so you didn't split the pot. They just both got first place pot.
They both got first place pot, yeah. Not a great way to end the season. That's kind of what we got due to a few small things on our side, rule wise, that need to be cleaned up, which we're looking at for season 3. So hopefully, with that, we can avoid this. And I'm really hoping at some point in time we'll get like real spectator tools where we don't have to worry about killing the streamers previous to the match starting. So, I mean, with that being said, the system is what it is, and we have to work with what we have. Stuff will kind of happen, right? Just need to be flexible and patient.
Well, so looking at that though, right? So first, when he was sitting still, and they're like, "Oh crap, what are you doing over there?" And then he started moving, and as he was moving, they were completely missing the crap out of him the whole time. But all that being said and done, and even a destroyer coming back to finally sink him, the game didn't go down to a points contest. It went down to a sinking contest. And just from what you saw, do you think the outcome would have been different necessarily? I'm sure Kantai would say yes. I'm sure TSF would say no. But, I don't know. It's an interesting debate, right?
I honestly haven't even watched that match. Like the
In all
first
honesty,
time the match happened, I spent so much time trying to adjudicate that I didn't even get to see the stream. I haven't even bothered to watch it since.
yeah,
I should
didn't
say
get to watch that
I
either.
watched the first 5 minutes or so. Just to recheck the spawn place. But
So basically, I stopped about the time that we noticed where Majash spawned at. We were trying to get a hold of the streamers to call the restart. From there, I didn't see much. I didn't go back and watch it, unfortunately. I did watch the other 4 when they were really great matches. And funny enough, TSF and Kantai are going to face each other in bracket 1, round 1 for summer series this weekend. So they'll get a little bit of chance for a replay, I guess, if you would.
We want to talk a little bit about this upcoming summer tournament that you're holding.
Yeah, give us the major changes. You don't have to give us a rule rundown, but what are the major differences rule wise?
okay, so there's a couple rule changes from basically season 2. Season 2 to 3, you're going to see some major rule changes. Period. We decided to shake things up a little bit. Our main goal for this weekend was to just get new teams in, introduce people to the league and stuff before season 3 starts. So the first big rule change is it's a 7v7 instead of a 9v9. Instead of a 20-minute game, it's a 15-minute game. This is played on only 3-point domination maps. 2 battleships max, 1 carrier max, and you can't have more than 2 of a specific ship.
So it almost sounds like you guys adopted the team battles rules that Wargaming had. 7v7 format, the cap on battleships and such. What sort of drove these decisions?
Basically, a 7v7 is just more doable for clans. There's a bunch of teams there are 2 or 3 teams that basically joined for this weekend that would have had trouble running a 9v9. So our goal was basically get as many teams in as possible. Like FOG, for example, is running 4 teams. Because with a 7v7, it's just very doable for them it's more doable for them to run like 4 teams. So we have 16 teams this weekend. And part of that is, just due to the 7v7 being a little bit easier for people to field teams. I don't think we'll repeat a 7v7 event, but it's really nice to try and, do it to get people in.
Okay, cool.
Oh, before we go on, a disclaimer for me. Back when we were talking about TSF and Kantai, hats off to TSF because I thought Kantai was going to sweep it, but they totally did not. But what tier are we doing this weekend?
8.
It's still a tier 8. Yeah, it's my favorite tier. And in all honesty, it's still the best balanced tier. I think everything still seems to flow the best at tier 8. So.
Speaking of tier 8, and did you say Hipper? I think you said Hipper, right? So one of the questions I asked. So one of the questions I asked you, I forgot to bring it up.
Oh God.
Which is potentially before the end of the year, we're gonna have a Prince Huygen premium. Just throwing that out there for you, Vass.
Okay.
Another man who loves his Hipper.
Sorry, I've derailed us. My bad.
No, it's all right.
It was far beyond love.
I do love my Hipper. I need some cash. I sold it for a little bit. I'll buy it back.
What?
Money. I did. I needed some money, so I had to sell it. It's unfortunate.
If you were an Otago driver, you would not be cash grabbed.
Yeah.
Don't you have a Turkets?
I do, but I was like doing some stuff for ranked, trying to figure out like what was gonna be the best way for me to move from like the pit that I was stuck in between like 13 and 16 down below into single digits, and I went destroyer, so I went like bought a Mahan and bought some other stuff and like was tweaking it out, trying to figure out what worked best.
Oh goodness.
So.
Well, so while we're on the 7v7 and we just did 9v9, and there's a lot of talk about, hey, why don't we do 12s? But that really goes down to 11v11, right? And so 9v9 versus 11v11 doesn't really open up that much. And so going down to 7s, it does change things slightly, but I would say that at tier 8, the metas for ships are going to be pretty similar. I mean, I don't see a lot of things changing, right?
The one thing is you can't have more than 2 of a single ship, so you can't bring like 3 or 4 Bensons this time. I mean, we're probably still going to see pretty much the same ships, but with this matchup, you won't be able to at least like stack them, which was just one of my. I'd like to let people try and decide what ships they want to run, and unfortunately, the meta is always going to be what it is. The Benson's just a very strong ship. Very just all-around great ship.
With that being said, a 15-minute time limit too is going to probably light a bit more of a fire underneath people than with the extra 5 minutes playing 20, right? So,
is there going to be any limit on like premium ships like you had for like the regular season?
There's no premium limit for this event.
Also, if we bring 2 Bensons and 2 Lo Yangs, that's a-okay?
No. Lo Yangs are counted as Bensons.
Ah, okay.
So it'll be 2
thought of that little
Bensons,
loophole.
2 Fubukis, and a Tashkent?
yes.
Yeah.
Do it.
If you want all those DDs.
I want to see the all-side DD team again.
Did we do that? I think we did that once.
You did it in season 1.
Yeah, we did it once. We like the surprise occasionally, right?
It's
more
Pick things up.
It's more a function of necessity sometimes than divination.
It was fun to watch you guys do that.
It looks wily, but really it's shit. But so for this season, how many going down to 7v7 and all the hype we've had recently, how many teams you got going into this weekend?
16.
16.
All right. That's
good number.
What's that?
Although
we doubled down, right?
Although you did say that Fog alone is fielding 4.
Yes,
yeah, so Fog is fielding 4, Kantai is fielding 2.
All right, so we're really down to 10 teams.
Well, yeah, but we pulled in 3 new teams for this tournament this weekend.
Oh, okay, great.
Who are those?
You've never played before, or 4, Sterling?
5.
Oh, 5 brand new teams. So
North Atlantic Detonation Organization, Armored Knights, the Underdogs, Old Ironsides, Wired Gaming.
So Wired Gaming we're kind of familiar with. But the other guys, do you know any of the names? Are they break-off groups? Or are they people you've seen in game a lot? Or is it new players to the game?
We know Old Ironsides. We've scrimmed them a few times. I can't exactly remember off the top of my head where they came from. The Underdogs, I believe, are I won't say a throw-together team, but I think they're a team specifically made just to play this weekend.
Hence the name.
Well, I don't know about that. Don't get suckered in.
Nato is also I think they're fairly recent. They're also fairly small, but they're a really, really good team. I think they're going to be the team to watch this weekend, to be honest. This is their first competitive venture, but if you look at their roster, whenever we get a chance to post it, it's really, really impressive.
Well,
Enough that
who's on it?
honestly can't remember any of the names off the top of my head, but I
We'll
know
find
in,
out
a,
when
in
he
one of the
posts
I
it.
know in one of the chat groups it was enough that it was strong enough that Fratstar from OP Gaming was saying that they were the team to watch as well, and that's a if you've ever looked at OP Gaming's roster, that's a pretty high compliment.
Oh, that should be interesting then. So let's talk about map selection for the weekend. Now that they've done more dynamic weather on more maps, are you going to use maps that do or don't have the dynamic weather?
Honestly, I can't remember which ones have weather, so I'm sure there's probably some of them in there.
Oh,
I should
then
actually
just by
probably
chance.
check this.
Seems like an
Um,
important detail.
It's pretty much all 3-point domination maps. Islands of Ice, Shatter, New Dawn, Polar, Okinawa, Land of Fire, Atlantic, Fault Line, Sea of Fortune, Loop, Mountain Range.
Yeah,
There's a
so
few other
few of
ones in
those
there.
do. So few do. That should be fun.
Yeah, so with the 3-point maps, they're going to be there's a little bit more to focus on than the 2-point tournament modes. But it's still smaller than like a 4-point map. Like North would have just been too big.
So you think with the 3-point maps we're going to see even more destroyers because you don't have a requirement to take at least one of each class, right?
That's a tough call. Personally, I don't know if I'd want to bring. I don't know how I feel about Fubukis, and I definitely don't feel really good about 2 Fubukis. I mean, keep in mind you can only bring 2 of the ships, so I think we'll probably see every team bring 2 Bensons, and then after that, I won't be surprised to see a Tashkent or Fubuki. Or at that point, people might fill in with like Kutsovs or something if they want the smoke. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if people try and run, very DD heavy, or if we see more balance between DDs and cruisers and stuff.
Well, with 3 points, I think we're going to see the fast pairs, right? So Benson Tashkent, but I don't know. We'll see how it works out, but at least we'll have the cyclone or whatever it's called. But the let's see. So with Atlantic, we're not going to choose Bastion mode, so that's not an issue coming out with the most recent patch today, right?
Nope, I'd really like to play some games in Bastion mode, but I haven't even had a chance to check it out yet. So until we get more maps or we get a chance to really test it out, it's on the back burner as far as game modes go. But I have really high hopes for it. So
Really? I don't know. Just looking at reading it, and I haven't gotten a chance to get in there today, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter for anything other than destroyers are going to be annoyed by it because the battery range will be about equal. And other than that, like a damaged farm. I'm not sure it changes much.
I don't know. See, I don't know if it'll change much in pug matches, but I wonder if it'll change. And I think we'll see between now and September. I'm sure they're probably going to tweak it. So if some of the stuff I've heard is a little bit underpowered, some of the shore placements. So I kind of suspect they're going to tweak it a little bit. But if you think about it, that's additional sight lines, additional like anti-air bubbles. So that could definitely change up how some of the maps work.
Has anyone been on the forums to see if there's a giant DD nerf cry out there right now for it?
I just kind of assume there probably is, and then move on with my life.
All right.
As
I
a
mean, can you
cruiser player,
imagine-
none of these nerfs affect me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can you imagine being usually you usually want to leave a destroyer around to hold a cap just because of detection. But if your cap is being overlooked by a surveillance tower or whatever, and it can detect a DD, all of a sudden you can leave a cruiser somewhere in between that cap you want to hold on to and wherever your team is pushing into next, because that DD is just going to get spotted right off the bat, right?
I mean, the other
It's
upside too is if you have an anti-air bubble, that's if you park your fleet or you park a battleship specifically there, maybe that's another target your carrier doesn't have to sit and worry about, or you don't have to specifically park a cruiser there because you got that additional AA.
Or you see your carrier screwing off and farming damage on the forts instead of sinking enemy destroyers or something.
Well, I mean, we'll have to see how things play out in the pub queue, but pub queue and league play are very different at this point. So
Yeah, but it's not even in there. And you think you'll use it in upcoming seasons, maybe in September, that mode, or still just caps?
Probably will depend on what they see.
I would really like to. You know, one of our sort of pet peeves here is we think that, the more variety you bring in, the better the gameplay is. We want to try and shake up the meta as much as possible. We don't like, change up the gameplay, try and keep it more dynamic, make matches different. So, if we can throw in additional game modes and maps and stuff for season 3, so every week's a little bit different, then, we're definitely going to go for it, I think.
Was there any talk in the backside with Q and crew about having a mode where you don't have to sync the ship to view for all these maps, so that you could just have someone pop in, float around, and view it and record it that way?
I think it's in the works in their spectator development. I think they're still working on that. I don't know the exact details, and I don't really know.
Well, hopefully after what happened in the finals, that priority moved up a few spaces. That'd be really great.
Yeah, it would. I mean, like I said, we're kind of stuck with the tools we have, right? And we'll use what we have until it gets better. And I mean, whether or not Wargaming wants to improve it for us is completely up to them. So, but I mean, with that being said, if we get enough people playing and enough teams interested, then it might provide some incentive for them to do that, right?
I think they're definitely aware of it, and it's probably, I mean, you're right, it's probably may have moved up in importance. I just know talking to Q, like for Q personally, he's very interested in this competitive scene. He wants to grow it. So he's been a great resource for us. So, having him on board is excellent, because stuff like this, is things we can bring to him, and then he can, bring it to his development guys and stuff and say, hey, this is what we really need right now. And, I think we're really lucky to have a guy like Q on, the NA server, because he's just, he's great.
If you just answer our financial questions. I mean, come on.
Getting anything out of Q is like, you wait your 3-day toll, and then you get back half sentence. He's got the whole wargaming response down to a T.
Oh, it's PR. It's PR, right? It's just classic.
I'm being a little too mean there.
No, it is what it is, right?
It's in their job description. Be expected.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I don't know. Kind of winding down. It's been a rough couple weeks. So I'm not gonna lie.
Well, before you go, let me give a quick rundown for season 3. So you should expect to see a tournament for the end of August. To basically do placement, we're gonna do divisions like we were talking about earlier. For season 3 to try and keep the teams on a more even keel and hopefully have some tight matches in both divisions. We're gonna start there. It should start sometime after the Labor Day weekend. The rule set will be out previous to it, and I'm really hoping that we can pull 20 teams in for it and have a good rip-roaring time for it.
20 teams. For this weekend alone, you have how many teams signed up?
We have 16.
10.
Oh,
It's
okay.
10. It's not 16. It's 10.
Well,
It's
yeah,
10 clans providing 16 teams. How would you
10
go that way
clans,
for me?
okay.
Does that work better?
I'll just mess with you.
yeah.
Man.
Okay,
I'll
I
just
was
mess with you.
gonna say, yeah. But so for the divisions for next season, you're looking for teams, not number of organizations.
Yeah, it'd be 20 teams for it. So,
Okay, all right.
We are going to provide a roster cap for next season to try and encourage larger clans to enter multiple teams.
No, I think that'd be awesome, man. It'd be awesome. If they've got the players, might as well get them all playing.
That's exactly it, right?
For some of the large teams that want to put in a junior team or a B team or whatever you want to call it too, we'll probably have some sort of basic rules. Like if, one of your teams is down a player, you can move someone up a division or something for the week. So it's going to be, we'll have a lot more rules as far as roster goes. But we're really hoping that, we can, maximize the number of players that get to play in this. I know there's a lot of teams that, sometimes it's really easy to fill up that first team, but then the second team, you're just always just a little bit too short to want to run it full time. And then, it's hard to transfer people back and forth, So we're hoping we can kind of alleviate that with the current season 3.
So you still got the same rules for adding players to the roster, pretty much up until before match for this this weekend and upcoming rosters?
So for this weekend, they're actually doing a roster submission tomorrow night, and the roster cap for the weekend is 12 people. So playing 7, rosters 12, so you have 5 extras. We'll look at how we're going to do roster additions for season 3. My guess would probably be it's going to remain fairly similar to how it's been for the first 2 seasons. As long as you're not at your roster maximum, you can still add a player up until game time.
And then once you hit your roster max, no more changes?
Well, you'll have to just remove people.
Okay, cool.
So I mean, like, maybe you guys pull in a player and you have a guy who was playing for you and then he, stopped playing shifts or disappeared, but you need the slot. Pull one guy out, next guy goes in. There you go.
Is there any limit to how often you can do this?
I mean, we'll probably have some limits in there just to prevent, people from like double playing on like an A and a B team and all kinds of crazy crap like that. Keep people from jumping teams. But I mean, aside from some common sense rules, basically to just keep things honest, we try and keep it as easy as possible. Like the last couple seasons, you've been able to add people all the way up until game time, pretty much. So, we kind of like trying to keep it at least as simple as we can make it.
We're gonna see a brand new website as well. It's being worked on. It should include a lot of stuff like letting the team reps do all their rostering instead of like having to get a hold of us as admin to do it. So that will.
I'm sure that comes as a great relief to the two of you.
It does, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what goes wrong the first time,
work.
right?
It's a lot of back end work. So.
I mean, the other big news for season 3 hasn't been decided. We haven't sat down and decided. No, we're not playing tier 10. We have maybe at some point we'll run like a tier 10 exhibition series or something, but not for the main league. At least not the current state it's in. But anyway, we have to talk with Wargaming about this still. Sit down with them. But season 3, from the go-ahead, we're going to have prizes, basically. So when we announce season 3, we'll have up front, like, these are the prizes you're getting. If you're in Premier Division, you win, you get this. If you're in, Open Division and you win, you get this. Participation for everyone, whatever we decide on, basically. Right up front, you guys are going to know the prizes. It's going to be pretty awesome. Wargaming is pretty solidly behind us, so yeah, you can look forward to that too.
Information up front. What a brave new world.
Yeah, no,
I don't mean that as a dig to you guys, but just Wargaming has just historically been, so far at least, been a little shady about getting that information into the players' hands in time.
Well, luckily info's coming from us this time. Bass and I try and keep things as pretty much, we try and keep almost everything visible to the public. The only thing that's really not visible is like very small back end stuff. So
are you guys prepared for the drama when you put people in certain tiers? Is there an adjudication process to say, hey, I don't think we should be in this tier, or there's going to be a playoff, or what?
We're playing a tournament in August, at the end of August, to determine which tier people are, or which division people are starting in. So if you want to be Premier Div, win.
Okay, so that's the end all be all, or is that just one factor that goes into your tiering?
That's most likely going to be close to the end all be all. I mean, you might see like a couple of teams who have some experience, maybe end up in like Premier Div if we have a hard time filling it out. But the plan is to try and use the tournament as much as possible to do that.
Is there going to be any movement between, say, like the Premier division and like the other division, like in the middle of the season, or is it going to be once you're in that division, you're locked in for that season?
You're gonna be locked in for the season. If you do division movement, it will be at the end of the season, depending on your placement. Think like MRBC style, or think like English soccer, where if you're in Premier or the league underneath, but you win your division, then you move up to the next division for the next season, right?
So the bottom 3 move down then?
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be the bottom 3 and top 3. It might be the bottom 2, top 2. We haven't quite decided that yet. Yeah, the top 2 will move up or whatever. Top ones will move up. Bottom ones will move down. So hopefully provide a little bit of extra added flavor, because you'll see new teams move up each season. And I mean, if we have enough teams, then we'll open up a 3rd division.
So if a team comes in the bottom division and they just crush it, are you saying that the most that can move up is to the next division, or is there going to be a process for them to go straight to the top?
You know what? In all honesty, we haven't talked about that. My thought is going to be one division to start. I mean, if we only have 2 divisions to go anyway, and you're in Division 2 and you move up to Division 1, then you're going to be with the top teams, right? If we end up with 3 divisions, if the tournament process works out properly, you should be in the division you belong in anyhow, right? So
No, it's just you never the unforeseen, right?
I'm sure there'll be something unforeseen happening. I mean, if we have to, we can adjudicate it by hand.
You, you guys start throwing that money around, who knows who
that's
will
the
show
thing.
up.
I mean, I wouldn't count out, having to make an administrating call. Like, if I don't know, someone breaks off from OP or something like that, right? You get some really, like, NATO is a really great example. Like, I think this team has a really great potential, and had they come in like, in between like season 3 and 4, that might be a team, if they absolutely destroyed their division, maybe that's a good candidate where you just bump them all the way up to Premier. So there's some stuff we'll have to, make, calls on the field, but I think for the most part, we'll have banged out a pretty solid system for everyone. And the other thing to keep in mind is that, seasons really aren't that long. We're still looking at like 5 to 7 week seasons, so pretty much 2 months and you can move up a division.
So if Clan Wars ever come out, do you foresee you guys still continuing Supremacy League, or do you think it'll kind of take a break to see how the clan warfare pans out?
You know what? If there's a demand for it, we'll keep it going. If demand ever drops off, then we'll take a look at what's going on. Maybe take a break there. But I mean, so far there's like season 2. We had a good turnout. We had 4. Well, originally we had double from season 1 plus 2, and then we lost a couple obviously at the start. Not much we could do about that personally. Just a couple teams weren't quite able to field. I think that there's the demand there. I think that as this grows and as it goes on for a couple more seasons, and people get used to seeing it around, get used to watching it, used to playing in it, for us to get to the point where we have like 25, 30 teams playing or more wouldn't be unheard of or unthinkable.
Right. So why don't you give us like a quick info dump? Like if you're like a new team out there and you want to like register for this tournament, like where would you have to go to like find information out on like how to apply and all that stuff?
So currently the tournament for the weekend is closed. We closed registration yesterday. We will be running at least one more before we run the season 3 placement tournament at the end of August. Right now we're in the midst of redoing our website. The old one is still up, including the forums and the front page with the news announcements. As well, we do announcements in the general clan chat on the World of Warships forums on a regular basis as well. So you have a couple options there. Plus we use the old Twitter, so you can get some information there too.
I would say expect to see after we conclude this event, so either maybe Sunday night or Monday. We're hoping we'll have a date picked out and some basic info for everyone ready to go as far as like what time the next event is going to be. So we probably won't have a rule set ready for you. It's definitely going to be very different from what we're playing this weekend. I can tell you that much. But we hope at least you have a date. So, if you miss this weekend or if you enjoyed this weekend and you want to keep playing, we'll have a date for you. You'll know what to watch for. And, you guys can take it off your calendar or whatever.
Take it off the calendar.
Well, we do get some guys that are, work weekends and stuff. So we found farther out you put out, the better it is for teams to try and get in and play,
So the biggest thing for the next season as well is we're going to let guys schedule.
On like a week cycle instead of
yes.
That I think that's a good idea. That should work well. I'm sure there'll be a little drama with it till people get used to it, but in the end, I think that's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah, we did too, right? I mean, originally the game night was to kind of keep it on an even keel, but we're gonna part of the process of redoing the website is gonna be the ability to allow teams to schedule. We're still gonna use Saturday as like the fallback night, right? So if guys can't get the match scheduled, then you'll have to play it on the Saturday.
So the no later than date.
Yeah, basically. But I think we're all adult enough as teams that we should be able to do it without arguing with each other. So.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I mean, if the default's Saturday night, if you can't come to an agreement, it's pretty easy to adjudicate.
And it allows teams some flexibility, right? Because that way, guys aren't stuck playing on a Saturday night all the time. I mean, maybe have a date or something with one. I don't know.
Yeah, what's that? I mean, most of us are 38 and married, right?
True. My wife likes it. My wife likes a date night every now and then.
Fair enough. All right. Well, you guys got anything anything else earth-shattering or that you want to spoil for us before this weekend? How about you, Spectre?
Oh, I've got nothing to spoil. Other than that, I'm spoiling for Wargaming to release those damn German battleships. That's
Yeah. No shit. August can't get here soon enough. But
Yeah,
we'll see how it works out. All right, guys.
Importing
So
my for XP forever.
yeah, XP and money. Just bring it. Ready to do all of them. But all right, guys. I appreciate the patience and waiting on me and all my excuses for the last, I don't know, 10 or 14 days. But we look forward to seeing you this weekend, and it's always a pleasure having you guys on.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks
not
for
a
having
problem.
us, guys.
Thanks for coming back.